Namaste and Tervetuloa. Welcome to Indian Minds in Finland, the YouTube channel that showcases the vibrant Indian community living, working, and thriving in the land of thousand lakes. You know, I'm your host, Dr. Karthik Sindhya, and I'm excited to bring you inspiring stories, heartfelt journeys, and the incredible contributions of Indians to the Finnish economy and society. So let's dive right in and celebrate the fusion of Indian and Finnish cultures. My first guest is Dr. Nonappa. So he's an associate professor at Tampere University of Finland. Welcome, Nonappa, to this YouTube channel.
Thank you, Karthik, and thank you for having me, especially as the first guest in this show. Um I think it's a great initiation.
Indeed, indeed. So I guess let's dive in right in through your journey, and I just brought up our first topic, which is your educational and professional background and how you landed up in Tampere.
Yes. Currently, I am working at Tampere University since August 2022. It's a little more than 2 years that I started here. Before coming here, I did all my studies back in India. I had primary education until PhD, and that formed the foundation for my all work that I do in Finland. It is during PhD that I had an opportunity to visit the University of Jyväskylä through Center for International Mobility Fellowship. I spent 6 months. Then I went back to India. I was doing PhD at Indian Institute of Science in organic chemistry at that time, year 2007, 2008. After completing my thesis work, I got another fellowship for 6 months from Citra, and today it is also called this Edufi Fellowship. I think that point where we started to get very interesting results, which also resulted in 2 to 3 year postdoc position for me. I continued in Vascular. Then I moved to Alta University to the Department of Applied Physics. I was 8 years there until 2020 August when the COVID crisis start to increase. And in on 3rd of August, I joined Tampere University. Since then, I'm working here. I'm leading a group of masters, PhD, and postdocs, and collaborating extensively.
Indeed. So I think it's right. So around 2005, six, I think there was the influx of a lot of Indian researchers from Indian Institute of Technologies and also from Indian Institute of Science to US class. So it's somehow a start of a journey for many researchers around this time. So I think we also met in US class. Although we
Yes,
come from Bangalore, but we met in US class during that time. So it's
absolutely. And I think around 2007, there's a lot of researchers, exchange students visiting Finland, Jyväskylä. There were not many Indians at that time, very few. And at the same time, we also had a lot of on-site from Infosys to Metso, the paper company. And I think that's where the community started to evolve. And then more people started to arrive. And I remember like we met around 2008 during my second visit to Jyväskylä. Yes.
yeah, yeah. That's it's already quite a long time now.
Yes.
So I think now that you are in the as a working as an associate professor, so let's dig in a little bit into what inspired actually you to pursue a career in academia and research, and how has your personal and cultural experience influenced this decision to pursue a career in research?
Yes, if you had asked me this question during my school days, I had no idea about research and I had no idea about PhD or going abroad. I always wanted to do things. I was curious about things, but never had an idea because there was little exposure. It was somewhere in when I was doing my bachelor studies. I was studying pharmacognosy, chemistry, and botany as the major. I had an habit of reading newspaper every day. When I go to the college, I go 30 minutes before I read the national newspaper. And one way to improve and spend time that 30 minutes before any class in the library. And one day I happened to look at an advertisement for a summer research fellowship from Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Research in Bangalore. And I was one of those 100 students who got selected among 15,000 applicants across India in all fields of natural sciences, engineering, and medicine. And it was all begin there. I came to know I had an opportunity to work at Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, one of the best institutes in India. And it was, I think, the turning point for me, which exposed me both about the kind of institutes, research infrastructures we have, and the quality of science can be done. And I think that since then I never turned back. I became interested in chemistry because I had opportunity to do internship in organic chemistry. I went back to do masters in organic chemistry at Mangalore University. My main focus was there to really qualify for national eligibility test conducted by University Grants Commission and the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. I did it just when I was already in masters, which qualifies me as a lecturer if I want to do university lecturer, but I decided to do research. I went through all those heavy and rigorous interview and ended up getting selected at Indian Institute of Science to do PhD. That is how it helped me. And if you ask personal and cultural experiences, I think, as you know, when I said like also getting selected as one of the 100 students among 15,000 applications, it's less than 1% chance for you. That is the competition we have. Um, I think the hard work, persistence that we learned, and commitment and some sacrifice that helped me to continue in research.
Indeed. So, yeah, I have been in Indian Institute of Science both for my third year bachelor's degree and fourth year bachelor's degree engineering project. So I think it's during those days it was also kind of Indian Institute of Science was about, of course they did cutting edge research, but it's also about how to thrive in resource constrained environments. So how do you do research, and we had quite a lot of challenges, but we built quite a lot of things ourselves because you cannot buy from outside. And for example, I even built a thermogravimetric analyzer in my third year BE project because we wanted to analyze certain materials. So that's something which you grow up. So that naturally lands me to our next question. So, what kind of challenges? So let's talk about some challenges you faced in your academic and research career. I think research and academy is full of challenges. So let's maybe pick some prominent ones which you want to share, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think I take every challenge as an opportunity to get better and be strong in what we do. As there is a proverb, it's called that smooth seas don't make a good sailor. So
Mhm.
we need challenges, hurdles, and roadblocks. Um, it's common, but I think it also comes back for us because we work hard and we are passionate about what we do, and we are fully committed. So I think that is what makes us succeed in any challenges. If I want to pick very specific academic roadblocks that I had throughout my maybe school days to college and the research, and we face it every day. I can tell like very simple example what actually made me to take challenge is during my high school. When I was about to go to college, I was supposed to, because my parents were daily wages. It essentially means if you want to survive every day, if you have to have food, you have to go and work in some other place. Um, so those days, we were one of those who had a below poverty line, and I should get the income certificate, but there was a systematic manipulation where I was denied. And that is the day I told, for example, my father, I will never apply for any certificate. I want to do everything in general merit. As a teenager, if you take that decision, I think you can face every challenge. Since then, I never looked back. I qualified every single thing in general merit. Um, that is one. And I was also told that because if your economical background is not so strong, why I'm doing science, I should get enrolled in arts. But I never took that. I thought, okay, this is the best opportunity to me perform and so that you don't need to be economically strong, because nothing can prevent you from achieving. So these are the most difficult thing comes at very young age. Therefore, every challenge I see today, I think is not a challenge if you compare that time, because that is the real roadblock. And if you have overcome those roadblock, I think every research challenges can become. But when you come higher and higher, yes, as you move on, you have more responsibility. You have to work in an environment which is you are not used to. For example, when you are doing PhD, it's a place where you have the best minds all around India, and so that drives the performance. When you come to abroad, you start to go with the best minds around the world, and then that's a different challenge. There's a cultural, scientific background, behavioral challenges you face. But I think we are very much used to this because we are naturally multicultural, and we know how to integrate, and how easy to adopt. I think that makes us unique in terms of that. And easy integration, flexibility, adaptability, and tolerance, that makes us is a special actually. And that's how exactly I overcome.
Indeed. Yeah, challenges definitely make a person much stronger.
Yes.
And yeah, coming with the from the research, and of course, your position also means that you need to do quite a lot of teaching. So, how have you actually balanced both your teaching and research responsibilities, and what strategies have you found, if any, to be really effective in this field?
Yeah. Naturally, I'm a self-motivated person. It means I love to learn new things, and the best way to learn is teaching. So, as it's always said that by teaching you learn. Even Aristotle said that teaching is the highest form of understanding. So, I divide. Currently, my person, I spend roughly 25 to 30% of dedicated time for teaching, and rest of time for research and other work that we have to do. Um, I think most important when it comes to teaching is that first you should know your own capability, and you have to improve your understanding, and you also have to know your students, their background. And challenges that I have is that I have a highly multidisciplinary students attending the courses, and in that case you want to measure and know what is the level of each of them. So I do a lot of background work. I have certain set of questionnaires to analyze and know students and what type of methods they like to have, so I try to balance them. And today it is even more important. 20 years ago, if you say teaching is more about delivering what is written in a textbook, but that is no more true, because you can find same information in numerous sources on in the internet today. But why the role of teacher has changed? For me, the role of teacher is to a facilitator and to drive the understanding and motivate student. This is what I do. I try to use the tools. It's not about how many different tools you use, but how effectively you use the tools. So I use a limited number of tools, but in a more effective way, and so that encourage students and see. And it's more about my very first statement for every class that I start or the course is, there is no need to memorize. And if you memorize, you will forget. And important is to understand. If you understand, you don't have to memorize. And I think this is a statement I repeat every time. And the idea is to how to improve the analytical skills of the students, also make them more creative rather than I'm just taking some notes and copy pasting. So the approach to teaching is kind of a research, because here also you have to go through, you have to understand, you have to deliver, you do background work and deliver the correct information to the student. Even textbooks may not do that often. So I don't follow a single textbook to teach. I follow the original, maybe research, and also partly the textbook, and create own content and different media, flipped classroom, peer interaction, encouraging group discussion, student presentation, many such things.
Indeed. Yeah, I think these things, as you mentioned, is quite vital for even the students to learn how you are delivering your message. Because I think personally this is quite important even for students after they graduate, when they come to the companies or to join any research profession. So delivering the right information to the person would really be beneficial for their kind of career advancement in a way, in a long way.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah, I can add one more thing, that often we say that students are maybe not interested, and I think it's not the students who are interested, but it's the teachers who are not dedicating enough time. I say dedicating the time, because you have to be passionate to teach, and if you dedicate enough time, your return, if you invest enough time, your return of investment is the happiness of students who have really learned and they're motivated and become more creative. Yeah.
So, can you, being in the teaching, let's continue a little bit about your own professors and teachers you have had for a long time. So, are there any particular uh, persons or professors which have really created a long-lasting impact on you?
Yeah, I can list numerous. If I go back to my high school, and the most passionate teacher and a very unique person is Satish Bhatt. He's currently principal in a different institute, and I think he's also the person who actually inspired me in many ways. Is excellent in extracurricular activities. He was a math teacher, but he could teach science, English, and social science. He was the one who told me that if you get this much grade, you can join this college. And I took his actually these words really seriously. And yeah, he's the one in high school. I think because that's the turning point. I cite one. But when I come to college, I studied in SDM College Ujire, which is run by Dharmasthala Temple, and then there, all my teachers were outstanding, including the language. So if I name, the name is so big, including the principal at that time. Then I also studied, I had a very interesting college education. I stayed in Siddhavana Gurukula, which is a Gurukula system. It combines the traditional way of life. We had a very much a discipline and managing time. And then in the college is co-education, like any metro cities. So this combination, when you go back in the evening, it's different, and you have a different way of your lifestyle than when you're in the college. Is very different. That 5 years of time, I think that helped a lot.
Indeed. Yeah, I think this discipline quite young in your college education has really probably helped you. I could see already in for a long time that we have been together working on different things. So it's really, we could see that the you have had a very good background, and how you have been brought up within the college education. Indeed. So I think now let's move a little bit away from your personal stuff and maybe look at your research interests. So maybe can you give us an overview of your current research interests and what kind of projects you're currently working on?
Yeah. Um, See, um, uh, I studied undergraduate in biology, and then after that, everything is chemistry. I have a very strong background in organic chemistry, but with the time, I also changed my discipline. The idea was to apply the knowledge of chemistry, whichever field I enter. And today, with the same approach, what we do is that we develop. We are bringing different domain knowledge of chemistry, biology, and physics to solve some of the fundamental challenges which involved in material science and cancer biology. So we focus, one topic is a sustainable materials for health technology and sustainable materials for photonics and optics. When I say photonics and optics, we talk about sensor and miniaturized devices, new type of optical fibers where we are trying to use um, uh, to minimize the use of fossil fuel based resources. So this is one of the most important aspect, and the aspect of material science side in the sustainability comes there, and it is very early stage, and I think we are one of the few groups who are working on this type of fibers. Not only fibers, any devices, and in I think in decades from now, it will make a huge impact, both in societally and scientific, and potentially also economically, and it will contribute directly to bioeconomy. When it comes to health science, is also one of the topic is very much important to Finland. We are directly working on breast cancer, specifically focusing now on breast cancer metastasis because it's a disease which is so complex, it's so heterogeneous. It rapidly spreads to multiple distant sites like maybe brain, bone, liver, and lungs. There are not many models to study outside the body, which we call as in vitro model. So we use the knowledge of fabrication, microfluidics or microfabrication, and material science and chemistry and cancer biology, trying to develop this kind of in vitro models, which are very important to understand the disease mechanism, and also to identify some specific markers so that we can do personalized medicine. It's a topic I'm fortunate to involve in this type of work from last 80 years, as which forms the basis for also the current work. And one additional thing which is also unique that we do is that combine this with the imaging. What we imaging we do is like a high resolution electron microscopy, which means we can look at an atom and even in a three-dimensional. So we call electron tomography and cryo electron microscopy. This is my one of the specialization. There are not many people who do this.
Indeed. Yeah, sustainability and cancer research is probably quite important topics, which are of quite importance to within Finland. Quite many researchers probably are studying, and I think that is where probably we are creating. We could create a huge impact with any possible research. Yeah, but this kind of brings us to the next question of experiences. So, in what ways has your activities and projects, current projects, I mean, have are being shaped by your experiences in India, and how have they evolved? So, because you are doing something when you came to Finland, and you're doing something now, and talk us through the journey of your previous experience and how has it affected in the topics you have chosen to research within in Finland.
Yeah, I think this is a very important question, and if I have to say how it has affected, for anything you have to do, you need a great lab training. And I am fortunate because I worked with Professor Uday Maitra, my PhD supervisor. He's an amazing teacher, he's an outstanding scientist, and he trains the best possible way. And he is very much concerned about the lab safety, maintaining lab notebooks, and also ethics. I think this type of training is very rare to get in many places. Supervisors so much concerned about this, and this is the one point I learned. And he always told that PhD is a training, and the best training you get, the better you perform in the future. You may get paper at some point, but that is not the main thing. The most important thing is to have a safe working environment and get best training. I think that is what shaped me, and I took his word very seriously. And he also told one more thing that at that time my research topic was on bile acids. These are end product of cholesterol metabolism. They're very important in our liver in digestion, and absorption of fats and lipids. He said that he don't want to see someone reading a paper from his student after they left the lab and saying, "Oh, this it must be a student of Maitra." This idea was, this is a training for you. The months you leave the lab, you must have your independent idea, or wherever you go, you could be able to succeed. And exactly what I did, and you will not see any relation with what I did in PhD and what I do today. And you can never connect based on my last, since I come to Finland, that I did PhD with him, until unless I tell you. So I think these are very important in your very early stage of research. Get well trained. If you're trained, you can do any work. And that helped me to be very independent when I came to Finland, working all the years. And another important thing is that in India, we don't have the postdoc culture, at least that time. As a PhD, you do most of your work yourself. It's often it can be, or the senior PhD students will help you. It's otherwise a lonely journey. So you handle the pressure and you try to collaborate and ask people help, and all this helps and shapes you.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, I think you're exactly right that I think these days we have more postdocs, but during those days we had
Yeah.
PhDs who are senior and who are trying to help the junior ones, and I completely agree that a PhD is about the journey which you take and what you learn during the journey, and of course as you evolve, you see and find more topics which could be of interest, which you want to create an impact. And I'm sure that the ones you have chosen are probably the ones you believe are you could create the maximum impact through your research to the Finnish economy and also to the Finnish way of life, let's say. And let's probably move into um, into some topics of where we would discuss how your research um, has actually helped in contributing to the scientific knowledge and understanding in your field, both in India and in Finland. So, just to discuss about the topic of impact of your research, and maybe we
Yes.
could talk broadly about within Finland. So, how has it actually impacted until now, and what's your vision of where you want to be in a few years?
Yeah. Uh, yes, I think I would like to focus more on Finland because since I had my PhD, I spent 14 years in Finland. So all my contribution come to Finland, and I will come back to India a little later part of this. Uh, when I came to Jyväskylä, something great about Finland is that there are a lot of facilities and equipment. If you have self motivation, you can do many things. Um, when I came first 6 months, I was working on a topic, and when I went back to India, I reflected my stay in Finland, and I found that there is one device that's is a nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy doing solid state. In my PhD, one of the questions frequently I myself asked and everyone asked, why, for example, I was working at that time on gels, why this forms a gel, why this does not form a gel. And there were little tools that you can use because it's more challenging to do. And I had this wild idea that can I use solid state NMR, then how, and how much it has been done. And when I proposed this idea, many said that, okay, good luck in a sarcastic way, but they thought that it's impossible. But we tried, and sometimes you have to make the impossible possible by trying it. Since I did not knew much of the theoretical background or physics behind instrumentation, I was more curious about looking at how it works, and then ended up getting outstanding results. And that helped. That has become part of like 3 to 4 PhD students and become a major tool for to analyze their. And it also improved the quality of the publication. For example, in the group we did, and we saw in that 2 to 3 years a huge change in the way we approach the research in Jyväskylä. It initiated a lot of collaboration with other groups, including some pharmaceutical companies at then. I moved to Alta University. Um, Again, I changed my field to colloids, nanoparticle, and electron microscopy because I go and I see that there's a lot of instruments, and if I get trained, so I try to get some self-training because there are not dedicated people to train you. I attended some summer schools, workshops, and wanted to know this topic because I had no formal training on these areas that I did. I think it took 4 years. I had no publication from my second postdoc. Today, it is impossible to survive for many students at that situation. But things that I did and learned has helped maybe about you can see minimum 2 publication where I'm one of the co-author, maybe around 20 to 25 theses in that 8 years that I was in also. That is the amount of impact that you say that everyone has a challenge, they will come and you're able to help them this, and initiated numerous collaborations also, which we can discuss later. This is the time once I thought that I can also contribute and collaborate with a lot of Indian group. I have a very strong collaboration in Indian Institute of Technology in Madras. Through this, I could get help many students, to improve the quality of the science because they do outstanding science, and we have a new method so we can help them. So this is ongoing things. So if you look at two things, first it helps the students to complete their maybe thesis, at the same time improve the scientific quality. It gave exposure to the universities in platform that was never been heard before. Some of the biggest scientific and prestigious conferences you get involved helps you to build your own kind of network, because if you are specialized in something, there's always people who are interested, so you have to be rather unique in that sense. So today there is something that routinely there are a lot of collaborations and interactions. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
if
please
I
continue.
can tell one, yeah, this also helped like many students coming for Erasmus training, because they see that there is something that they have to do, but they cannot do it everywhere. Another topic is I've been doing this for 8 years, at an opportunity to collaborate with the cancer research group on breast cancer, and which has resulted into research to business funding. And really, it is something it is something that will contribute not only Finnish globally a lot in terms of health technology. We're able to develop a new preclinical model, which is very predictive, and it's precise, and it's rapid, and it also forms a rapid drug discovery model.
Indeed. So this is quite nice to know, because I think quite many times um, this kind of information doesn't come out into the press, or nobody discusses about the advancement of research that is being done. And I think it's nice to know that about the impact that you have been able to create. I think in considering the span of time, it's not much. So it seems that you have been quite active in this area. And now that you started to talk about collaboration, so I thought we could already talk about how have you collaborated with your other researchers in Finland and internationally both, and how have these collaborations contributed to your research activities? So how is your network in Finland? So are you able to how actively have you been able to collaborate within Finland and of course internationally?
Yeah, that's the beauty of Finland, right? It's very easy to collaboration. If you want to collaborate, it's rather easy. There is a little barrier to talk to team leader or professor or any researcher of different own university. Um, so this is something that fascinated me when I was in USC. It was very easy, and the collaboration is the key for what we do. Without different domain knowledge and expertise, it's impossible today to make a good work. So I have great collaboration, for example, in Uvascula going on for 15 years, and we have every year something coming up. And even though the research topic changed, we need the same domain expertise. That means it's a very strong collaboration. often collaboration, I always say that collaboration is much more important, not the competition. Collaborate and communicate. With the Helsinki, I have more than 10 years of with the chemistry collaboration, and almost all universities in Finland, except a couple of them, collaboration is ongoing for 10 years or more. When it comes back to outside Finland, have a strong collaboration in Czech Republic, in multiple institutes, in Italy, in Australia, in Canada, in USA, and many other European countries. And India has a lot of new collaboration coming. So yeah, I think Finland is a great place in that sense. It's easy to collaborate nationally. It also helps you to bring in international expertise.
Indeed. I think the Academy of Finland and Business Finland also play their own part in providing instruments for collaboration. And I think that if we go on to those instruments, it probably takes a lot of time. But I
Yes.
think but it's something which everyone should evaluate to use the best of those instruments which have been provided to us. Yeah, I think we have covered more or less your personal and also professional background. So I more or less wanted to finally talk about your uh, how how your own research is kind of contributing to Finland's scientific and societal goals. So I'm not sure. Maybe the goals are probably varying over long periods of time, but I think there are certain things which we are very there are active topics of which within Finland that goals. Of course, we have environmental goals of sustainability we want to reach, but there are other goals of 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 public life and having a happy life here. So I guess your research has been also contributing or touching this in some part of the other. If do you want to comment on this topic?
Yeah. So if someone visits our research group page and you see our objectives and goals, and we have listed 4 to 5. The very first objective is to educate and train young researchers and equip them with the transdisciplinary skills. Because if you want to think about future goals, we need to have educated, not just studies, but also trained and skilled people. And it's not enough that they are trained or skills in one area. And we have to also able to give them some domain knowledge from different fields. And then you see that we want to do also more sustainable material technology for health and future sensors and devices. Uh, Going completely fossil fuel free based materials is another topic, which is a topic of a great interest in Finland. There are a lot of center of excellences. Academy Business Finland it's going. It's also aligned partly with the EU's Green Deal, United Nations climate related agenda. Uh, then our main is contributing the health and health in a various way and society. So this all covers, and our training literally like that, and we are following this, and that's exactly what we would like to continue. Yes, the goals will remain, I think, to some extent. Our approach might slightly change as the time passes, but the ultimate goal is like to have more um, healthy society.
Indeed. So that's very good, nice to know. And I think we are more or less done with our discussion. So it was really nice to have you on this platform and being our first person in this continuous YouTube series we would have. So, what do you think about this venture of starting a YouTube channel and more? I would say of providing more public information about the work that you guys are doing to wider
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, I think when you consider this is a great initiation, it should have been done even before. Thank you for starting this. And there is a massive number of people in international community, and when it comes to Indian communities, even bigger in various aspects. There is both in science, in technology, in entrepreneurship. There are like a lot of startup related activities. Uh, Very often in academics, there are little forum to give exposure to the amount of hard work that we are doing, and it is not seen because there is no measure to see how much you help to succeed. For example, a lot of hard work you do, for example, to train maybe undergraduates and PhDs and get them exposure. So we need a forum to discuss and know the contribution. At the same time, how the Finnish society has contributed for our own development professionally, personally. So I think it's a great initiation. I think we should continue to have more and more people from different domains, bring them together, and have this series more frequently.
Indeed, indeed. So yeah, I invite all community members and others to maybe get in touch with us and me, and we could easily set up this kind of a
Yes.
discussion series so that we bring more and more work to to broad daylight to so that everybody understands. Thanks, Nonappa, for being on for YouTube, and I hope you have a nice week ahead and all the best for your further research.
Thank you. Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here with you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.